people screaming fuck cancer. But my niggas swear cause we don't know the answers. The world is capped, they try to get you gone. But I bring the fight right back because I'm Neishastrong.
We don't know your pain, queen, we don't know your struggle. Giving you your roses now, cause we really love you. Through each memory, yeah, your story lives on. Fighting with you through the battles, Neishastrong.
Don't ever give up. Do not ever give up, cause you can do anything.
Hello everyone, and welcome to You Can Certainly Beat This with Neishastrong. I am Neishastrong, one of your favorite breast cancer survivors. I am here today. This is my first episode of my podcast, and basically you guys know that I've been fighting breast cancer, both stage 3, now stage 4, for almost 5 years now, you guys. It'll be 5 years in March, and I know I've been getting on y'all nerves for 5 years, but I just want to take the time to thank God for keeping me for 5 years because, some people don't even make it a year, with this disease. And so, with God letting me make it this far, I wanted to serve my purpose and create a podcast that helps people who go through similar situations that I'm going through. I hope to give people the help and the knowledge that I needed before I got this disease. So I hope that you all will get anything that you need out of it. I hope that you will get everything that you need out of it, and I hope that you can learn some things that you can apply to your lives or to a loved one's lives that has this disease or any type of disease. Like I said, I am fighting breast cancer, but this show is You Can Certainly Beat This. It's for all cancers. It's actually for anybody, to tune into. But like I said, my target audience is the cancer community. And like I said, I don't want this to only be a breast cancer thing. This is an all cancer thing. So today, I've brought 2 guests on to my show today to talk about insurance. It is so important, both life insurance, health insurance. It is so important when you have any disease, but it's important if you don't have a disease. Like we need it, for our daily living, we need it. We're covered by it on our jobs, we're covered through it personally. And so I just want to give some insights on the benefits of having both life insurance and health insurance. I couldn't have picked this topic at a better time because right now I've just received the news that the cancer is back in my chest. And so so many people would ask me, like, Tanisha, why aren't you working? Like, the cancer is no longer active, when it wasn't active. They're like, why aren't you working? And I'm like, y'all, it's my life insurance. Like, if I work, I lose my life insurance, and then I don't know when this cancer is coming back. And so when I need it, I won't have it again because I've tried to work and it didn't work out, and so now it's gone. So basically, so many people have so many questions around what I tell them, and so I have brought Mr. Vernen Wadelington here, and I've also brought Miss Shannon, From Poverty to Prosperity Ninja. I love that name.
That's dope.
Poverty to Prosperity Ninja. And her name is Shannon. So we need like a little S. It's not the Z, Zorro. It's not the Z. It's the S. It's backwards. So we got the little ninja S, So I have brought these 2 intelligent beings on my show today because not only because they know insurance, but because during my fight, they've tried to give me knowledge about everything that they know. They try to help me in ways that, I needed help. When I reach out, they're in my inbox like, hey, can you do this? Hey, I want to introduce you to this. And that really means a lot to me, and so I wanted to bring people who really made sense to me on the show to make sense to other people. So welcome to my podcast. Thank you so much for being my very first guest. And it means so much to me that you guys are here taking time out to discuss this situation with everyone for me. So thank you so much. Vernon, would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Vernen Wadelington. I'm a licensed life insurance agent here in North Carolina.
Okay. And I am Shannon Brooks, aka Shannon B, and I am a licensed life and health insurance agent here in North Carolina as well.
So welcome to my show, and thank you so much. So I have a question, and feel free for both of you guys to answer. I have a few questions for you to basically give everybody an insight on life insurance, health insurance. You both do life insurance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we probably won't get too much into health insurance. I'm gonna tell y'all a little bit about my health insurance, but don't really listen to me. But no, I'm just playing. Y'all can listen to me, but listen to them on the life insurance aspect. So basically, I just want to start with what's the difference between life insurance and death insurance. I didn't know that there was a such thing as death insurance until I got cancer. So.
Well, for me, and now I've been in this thing, since 2005. I've never really referred to it as life and or death, insurance. I just say it's just all one thing because, it doesn't really become active until you pass away, type of deal. Now I know that some people may say burial, now I know that sometimes, what I do know sometimes when it comes down to a burial policy is that sometimes you can go directly through a funeral home.
Okay.
So if you're going directly through a funeral home, then, of course, you're not necessarily going through underwriting and all those other, steps or what have you, but you pay a little bit more for it.
Okay.
Because a lot of times it's based sometimes on your age. It could be based on where you say, hey, I want to be over here or whatever, in this, plot or whatever. So, they use a whole different kind of technique.
Oh, wow. I never knew that. And you're absolutely right. It is called burial insurance. Sorry, black people got to put into slang terms and everything. I'm sitting here calling it death insurance. That's probably why nobody know what I'm talking about. But yes, Shannon, thanks for the clarity on burial insurance. And I didn't know that. It depends on where you want to be buried and how much it costs. It's like taxes.
Well, I think sometimes it can also determine which funeral home you use.
Okay, gotcha.
As well, Okay. Sometimes some of the ones that are maybe a little bit more popular, theirs may be a little bit more expensive compared to the one that's just getting started.
Okay, gotcha.
And then it's with that, it's just really gonna do one thing, and that's just enough for the funeral expenses.
Okay, gotcha. Versus life insurance, which is going to cover you while you're still living.
Yeah, you get a cash value policy, and it's a lot you can do with that.
Okay.
As far as building cash value, like with your situation you have with stage 4 cancer, anytime you hit with a terminal, critical, a chronic illness, you're able to access some of that death benefit.
Okay. Yeah. And I have being that my prognosis has been up and down, I did try to access part of my death benefit, but they said that you have to be within 12 months of being deceased. Do y'all know of any loopholes or anything I could get through around there? Because I really don't know how you can tell somebody how long they have, because the doctors have told me I have 2 years, and once a year is gone, I'm like, all right, I should be able to get my death benefit thing, but they're like, no, it doesn't work like that, so, if you could just go, a little bit into exactly.
Maybe that's because your policy may not have living benefits.
Okay.
Now, every life insurance policy don't have living benefits. That's one of the features that a lot of policies have.
Okay. So it's good it's a good thing to look for a living benefit when you're looking for your policy.
Right. And then also another thing is when you have that, I always say the rider. When you have that rider that's been added on to it, what they also require is that the doctor has to submit into the company saying that you're within 2 years, like your life expectancy, is not going to go above 2 years.
Okay.
And then normally what'll happen if you say, okay, this is the point that I'm at, and let's say you had a $50,000 policy, with most companies, they'll give you half.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So if it's 50,000, you can go ahead and take 25, and then the rest, would just stay there until that time frame comes.
Okay. Okay. And thank y'all for that. So that was another thing that I was having issues with. My policy is term. Can y'all tell people the difference between term and whole policies? Because I feel like people are thinking, I can borrow money or I can do this and that. And I'm like, no, I got a term policy. So anything I do as far as work or moving away from that job, it's like my insurance is terminated. My life insurance and my long-term disability is terminated.
Well, I think, this is what I tell people. Term, just look at the word. term equals terminate.
Okay.
Term is going to be a lot cheaper. It's actually the cheapest policy out there.
Okay.
But I always tell people there's good, bad, and ugly in everything.
Okay.
Term is going to be, cheaper, but it's going to terminate.
Gotcha.
So you only have it could be a 10-year, 15, a 20, 30. I think now they've even increased it to 40, and then it's like up to 65 with some companies. But at that time, you got to remember, okay, you got to have a mental note somewhere. Okay, if I get this policy today, in 30 years, it's going to be gone.
Yeah.
Whole life, on the other hand, is more expensive because it's going to take you through your entire life.
Okay.
And you do have the cash value that, will, accumulate in that. But like I always tell people, remember I always say, good, bad, and ugly. The bad and ugly side is that cash value is not yours. It belongs to the company. It's kind of like they're saying, here, we're going to give you, we're going to award you a little bit of the interest that we make when people pay their policies.
Gotcha.
And the money's coming in.
Gotcha.
So then whenever they get that, they're like, okay, we're going to let you, borrow. That's why they always say you have to pay it back. If something is truly yours, that means that why would you have to pay back something that's all the way yours?
Exactly.
But if you don't pay it back, it's, one of three things is going to happen. Number one, they're like, okay, as long as you still paying your policy.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, well, you didn't pay it back, but they're going to take it out of your face, the face amount when you do pass away.
Okay.
So if you had a $10,000 policy, you had $5,000 that had accumulated, when you pass away, that $5,000 is going to come out of the face amount. So now you really only have a $5,000 policy.
Okay. So they're going to get their money regardless.
Yeah. And if you never touch it, people
Yes.
think, oh, I got $5,000, that's $15,000. No. The family or the beneficiary is still going to get $10,000. The $5,000 goes back to the company.
Oh.
If you cancel the policy, like, oh, I'm not going to do anything. Oh, yes, you will, because they're going to send you that nice little 1099, and now you have to put that down as income.
Wow.
And that's why I tell people a lot of times who are on disability, be very careful when you borrow against that. Because you better have it set up to where it's going to be paid back. Because if not, if you were this, skating on this thin ice with your disability, and it shows that now they done reported you, now you got $5,000 extra. That may not mean anything to anybody else. But if you got disability, that could make or break you.
Yes. Don't I know? People try to get me side jobs all the time, and I'm like, listen, if they find out I'm doing an inkling of work, not Social Security disability, you could at least you can make up to $1,300 on Social Security disability. But the problem is I have that term policy that my long-term disability goes through as well, that's connected to my life insurance policy. So any work I do, it's like, they want to take it. And that's why I'm like, y'all, I can't be working out here in these streets. You gotta give me something under the table. But yeah, so yeah, thank you for that.
One thing I always tell people, like when I'm talking to them, is that like a lot of people say, well, I have insurance through my job, which is cool. Like something is better than nothing. But when you get in situations like yourself, you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place now.
Exactly.
So it's always good to have a private insurance company, like policy that you own and control.
Okay.
With your job, they own it, they control it.
And so with your private policy, it's best to choose whole, right? The whole policy, or what type of policy? How does that go when you get to private? Is it those terms when you get to private policy, or is it how do they go?
To me personally, I would say it depends on the person, their budget, and their situation.
Okay.
Because it varies for different people.
Okay, so say somebody like me, excuse me, a person like me who is on the shorter end of the life insurance spectrum or whatever deal because of my situation. I want to introduce my family to life insurance policy, and I want them to do it the right way. What would be the beginner's step or the beginner's policies or whatever that you would encourage them to get that would benefit them as well as something, because I've heard a lot of people say that you can make money off of your policies. Don't know if you guys have gotten into that or if you know or if you've heard of that and stuff too.
That's like the IUL or be your own. Basically, it's like a be your own banking concept.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does that? Do you know a little bit about that, or do you know where people can go to, get more information or more knowledge about that? Can they speak to licensed people such as yourself about that? Okay, you guys. So not only getting life insurance is a good thing, but learning to make your own money and become your own banker off of life insurance. Like, how dope is that, y'all? Like, I didn't even know anything about this. You know, of course, I learned from social media, but we're bringing it to you here today, and we have two people who can actually help you get started with both of those things. So keep paying attention because they're dropping some gems, you guys. Like, keep it up. So yeah. So basically, what's something that people don't know that y'all always see that people miss about life insurance? I don't know if it's a clear question, but I'm just saying, like, what's a benefit that people don't know about life insurance that you have, like some benefits that don't contain like you having to die or something like that? Are there other benefits of life insurance besides just burying and, you know?
Well, I think a lot of it is for me, it's the education. I think a lot of times when it comes down to the Black community, and like I said, there's no wrong policy, but the things that we were always put in front of us all the time was whole life.
Okay.
Right.
And to kind of go back a little bit further, see, back in the day, white people had access to everything.
Exactly.
We only had access to $10,000 of coverage.
Oh, wow.
For whole life.
Drop them gems. Didn't even know that.
It wasn't until the Civil Rights Act of 1964 when they had to amend everything across the table. So they had to amend it with life insurance companies.
Okay.
However, even though it was amended, how do you hide stuff from us? Put it in a book.
That's it.
So agents were still going out, and putting us in these high expensive, policies and only allowing us $10,000 of coverage. And that was it.
Wow.
Because I know growing up, my great-grandmother had a policy on everybody in the household, including myself when I was born.
Yeah.
I was born in 76. She didn't know she could do something different with me. So I have a $10,000 policy that my mother still pays. My mother was born in 49. She got, one for her. She got one for my grandmother born in 27.
Wow.
And then, of course, my grandmother's passed and my great-grandmother passed, but then she had one on my great-grandfather. Everybody had these $10,000 policies.
Wow.
But see, the thing is that now, because of, the fact that we can get more, some of us are still stuck in that I only want 10,000.
Exactly.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's about the education.
Right.
So a lot of times I'm big on education. I tell people all the time, I don't care where you go because I know I'm not for everybody.
Right. Right.
It's like people on here may say, I don't like her. But I'm like, but you got somebody sitting right here. Yeah. No excuse.
That's it.
No excuse.
That's it.
But the thing is that a lot of times it's the education.
Yeah.
So what I do is I try to provide that education. It's not about the money commission with me. It's about being educated. And I think whenever people are educated properly,
exactly.
Because unfortunately you have agents out here who are rogue agents, as I call them. And excuse my French, a lot of them be on that nigga shit.
That part. I got done.
And that's that shit that I don't like. That's that shit I don't like.
We don't like.
But the thing is that once people are educated, they can say, oh, I got options.
That's it.
I can, I can choose this, or I can choose that, or I can have an IUL, or I can have whole life. You can have all of them if you want. But the thing is, once you get that education, then now guess what? We moving away from GoFundMe. Because GoFundMe it's not life insurance, and that fish fry foolishness ain't either.
Coming from a person who has had multiple GoFundMes.
But no, I'm not talking about that. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that
burying.
Right, because there are people out here who, if you're truly not educated or you truly don't have the the extra, I get that. I have donated to GoFundMe that I know people in that situation. But when you have the disposable income. And you have the education, and you have access to agents, not an agent, agents, and you still don't handle your business, and God plucks your flower and your number, whatever you want to call it. Oh, I'm not going to go fund you for that. Oh no, you can sit over there in the morgue for about 30 days and come out looking like something on Thriller.
People like that, to me, are selfish.
Yes. Yes, it's a burden.
Yeah, very selfish, and just like you say, I mean, it's 2022. The information is out there, so it's no excuse. I mean, and it's another thing is like people think that it's a lot more expensive than it really is. Life insurance is really not expensive.
It's not.
Yeah, you're
not expensive
right.
at all.
You're absolutely right. Like you've been in my inbox, like putting me on to like how much it's a profitable job. You know what I'm saying? it's actually a rewarding job because you're setting people up for success with the rest of their life. And I can't express to you how much of a topic this is. I'm talking all wrong. How important of a topic this is to me. I'm like, what come out of that? Yeah, how important of a topic this is to me because my father died of cancer and he had a small policy. And I took, I was one of the people who took care of my dad, before he died. And it was like, he didn't have any money to leave to me and I wasn't mad or anything. He left the money to my little brothers. And it was just a small policy, but of course we put it into some investment and it's flipped. It was $14,000, now it's like $30,000. But they don't get that money, of course, until they get it, either they go to college or they're doing something constructive with their lives. Right. And I admired my dad for doing that, and it was like, everybody was like, oh, he didn't leave me anything. But I was so proud of him for doing that and choosing to invest that money for my brothers because now it's like double, and I don't think people get that strain on you when you cannot bury someone, when you can't even get anyone cremated. Like, that divides families. Like, it really does. And I see it so much, and it's so sad because it's like, for only $17 a month, you could have life insurance. Am I not correct?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I had a situation, October 28, 2011. My daughter was 2 months old, she died of SIDS.
I'm sorry, I never knew that. I'm so sorry.
She died of SIDS, and I'm in my 20s. I don't know nothing about life insurance. I don't even know if my parents had life insurance on me. So, time comes for the funeral. We go to the funeral home, and I'm like, all right, how does this work? Yeah. So they give us a price. Like, she's 2 months old. Casket is probably this big. It was like $11,000.
What?
Then the average funeral cost now is what, like $15,000?
Yikes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, over $11,000. It was $11,000, but the average funeral cost now is $15,000. So when people say sometimes the conversation can be uncomfortable. So it's like, I get it, you don't want to talk about death, but when you just put it off because you just choose not to, and you pass away, you leaving your family in a box. Now they gotta mourn over you, plus stress on how to come up with this money to bury you.
Exactly.
That's selfish.
That's very selfish. And coming to that, I want to know, how can, like, a person like myself or anyone, how can we get policies for our loved ones? Do we have to have their permission to get policies for them? How does that work if our loved ones aren't responsible and we want to say, okay, like like great grandma did, I want to get them a $10,000 policy. Can we do that as a sibling or as a parent or anything? Can we do that if they're if they're over the age of 18? Can we get a policy for them just to be on the safe side? We don't want to sneak around and get any money, if somebody died, we have any secret money, but can we fill in the gap for someone?
The only thing that you can do whenever they're over 18 is, if you're doing it, without their permission per se, is if it's something where you have been deemed their guardian. Like, if they aren't, oh gosh, what is it? Like, if, they don't have the mental capacity. Like, sometimes they're 25, but they still have the capacity of an 8-year-old.
Yes.
So something like that, as long as you have like the documentation or whatever, because you have to, submit all of that. Because the way that an application works, you have owner and you have insured.
Okay.
And when they see that there's a difference, they are like, wait a minute, this person is over 18, but this person is showing the owner. Their question is why.
Gotcha.
You have to have an insurable interest.
Okay.
And so therefore it's like, okay, well, this is the reason why. So you have to have all that documentation to show.
Okay.
Now they're under 18. Normally the only ones that can do that is the parent and or the grandparent.
Okay.
You can do it that way. But what I always tell people is, if you're in that kind of situation, just don't assume that maybe this person, doesn't want to do it. They just may not necessarily have the education for it. So it's like, so what I tell people is, let's sit down. I'm going to tell them who I am. Let me do the talking, or whatever. And, from there, once again, what I always say, it's about education. And then sometimes people will go ahead and say, okay, I'm willing, I can do that or whatever. Yeah. And a lot of times, they say, well, I'll pay for it. Somebody else say, well, I'll pay for it. Oh, okay, I'll come to the table. Here I am. Like, oh, you going to pay for it? All right, what I need to do? What kind of information me. You know,
Exactly.
they
love some
hold
free
the
99.
meter change. I'm like, all I need for you to do is just sit right here
Right.
and give me your information.
Exactly.
Show me your ID so that I'm making sure that you're the person that's in front of you.
Right.
Or whatever.
Okay.
You know, and then we can go from there.
Okay.
But I tell people, when you try that other stuff, you know, good luck.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, don't involve me in it.
Right. It's not right, basically. So if I wanted to bring my family, you know, and I wanted to pay their premiums or something, so we all come as a family basically. We sign up with you, and then I can still elect to pay their premiums. You know, if say someone still wanted coverage on their family, and they all did come to terms of agreement, could it still be I have these policies on you, but I'm the one paying it, I'm the one picking up? Because I feel like a few, like $20-$30 a month is a lot better than you having this $15,000 bill sprung on you if one of your siblings or someone passes away. You know, so is that the way to do it?
Everybody. I would say everybody is different. Like sometimes I deal with people one-on-one.
Okay.
But a lot of times, like if it's somebody where it's like somebody says, okay, sometimes you have siblings. And it's always that one that's the most responsible. You always got that one that's the most responsible, and you got the other one that's going to act a pure monkey no matter where they are.
Yeah.
So I always run across like, look, I got this little brother who I love, but he love them streets, or he love, you know, doing, mess. Mama never let him grow up.
Right.
You know, he still, in her eyes, he does no wrong.
That's right.
I need to make sure he good.
Exactly.
So if I say, okay, well, come on, let's sit down or whatever, So a lot of times I'll talk to that sibling, and sometimes they'll say, well, let me just take care of everybody.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, get all of them together.
Yeah.
And then I'll say all I need to say, and as long as everybody's on board, we can move forward. Then sometimes I do it where, it might just be one-on-one, because it may be something where, let's say little brother says okay, but then, he's like, can I talk to you separately?
Gotcha.
So now he wants to let me know, well, you know what? I was just recently diagnosed with diabetes, but I don't want my sister to know.
Gotcha.
But as long as I got that permission, up front, to say that, okay, and if you're like, well, I'm going to pay for it, go over there and talk to them. So now I can do the application. I don't mean I'm going to come back and show you what's on there, do the HIPAA, but, it's always more than one way to skin a cat.
Gotcha.
I'm glad you said that. A lot of people think that due to their health conditions, they're not able to get coverage. Like anybody can get life insurance.
Next question.
Yeah, anybody can get life insurance, whether your criminal background or your health. Anybody can get coverage.
Okay. And so for me, in closing, for my issue, I always get, you can get having stage 4 cancer. I always get, you can get life insurance, but it's just not going to pay out really anything. Is that the case?
What? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I actually, I helped a guy, his dad was just diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, December 2nd. I was able to help get him coverage. It wasn't a lot, it was like $15,000, but that's less of a burden to have to worry about. So I guess it really depends on like the company.
Why you didn't tell me about that?
I just, like, this was mind blowing to me. But yeah, I guess it just depends on the company.
And it's called, I know for me, the policies that I offer are called guaranteed issue.
Guaranteed issue.
Pay.
And so what that means is that no matter what your situation is, there's no medical questions that are asked. They normally just ask like, do you already have life insurance? Are you replacing it? Questions like that. But the ones, what I always say, good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah.
The bad and ugly part is that it's going to cost more.
Okay.
Because it's just like, like if you say, Shannon, I want that. I just want $15,000, just giving an example. So $15,000 with guaranteed issue may cost you $70.
Okay.
Compared to where a regular traditional company may only be $35.
Gotcha.
But over here, you can get it, and it's just like any other company. It's that 2-year contestability period.
Okay.
So now most companies, I know I've heard some that had like 5 years. I don't know where that came from, but most of them have a 2-year contestability period. So the thing is that yes, you can still get coverage. Yes, they're going to treat you the same way they would if it was a traditional policy when it comes down to dealing with that contestability period. The only thing is that you're going to pay more for it, and it's pretty much kind of more so based on your age.
Okay.
It's not based on your health.
Based on your age.
Based on your age.
Okay.
And over there, so that's where a lot of times I send people who have a criminal, record.
Okay.
A lot of companies now are looking into your driving background.
So
They're
that
looking
is the
into
thing.
your
They look
criminal.
into your criminal and driving.
Yeah, I had somebody who had
Wow.
perfect health, but he'd been locked up, for some years.
Yeah.
Did the crime back in, I think me and him around the same age. I think he did it back then, I don't know how old y'all are, but back then, I was an AMT, but I remember back then, they picked up everybody that was doing dirt in the early 90s. All of them waited till 97, 98, 99 to say, okay, we're going to come along and get all of it. He was in that group. But even though what he did was way back then, the point is that it still showed that he was in prison.
Okay.
Had perfect health. Nothing wrong with him. Declined him because he has a criminal background.
I had a situation like that.
Mm-hmm.
I was on the phone
Wow.
doing a policy with somebody. He was coming from Atlanta back to Charlotte. And in the process of that, he got a speeding ticket while we was on the phone. Submitted the policy, came back, denied him because of that speeding ticket.
Wow.
Perfect health, no criminal background or nothing.
Y'all, I know y'all see the big picture. I know y'all see the big picture. Sometimes they do anything to keep from getting covered. I'm glad y'all ended with that. I thank y'all so much for coming on here. Can y'all let the people know where we could find y'all out here in these streets if we want some good old life insurance? Where can we find you, Shannon?
Well, for me, I can mainly be found on Facebook. I don't do all that other stuff. I'm old school. I'm too old to figure all that other stuff out. You can find me on Facebook under Shannon Brooks. I know there's probably quite a few out there, but I'm in Winston-Salem, if that'll help. I will go ahead and put out the warning. I do cuss a lot. I talk a lot of shit.
With love.
Yes, I do Facebook Lives where I do call out bullshit when it comes down to people not having, insurance and they know they can afford it.
That's the bullshit you need to be called out on.
That part. So people can find me that way. You can also, give me a call, but you have to maybe text me first because I got the thing on my phone because telemarketers, calls I don't recognize, you're going to go straight to voicemail.
Oh, I need that.
Yes, honey. So everybody go straight to voicemail. But you can call me though, just text me first. 336-486-9151. And if you just want to do old-fashioned email, swbrooks, 31@yahoo.com. Yes, I have a very old email. Don't judge me.
Thank you.
That part.
I can be found on Facebook at Vernon A. Wadelington Jr., on Instagram at Vernon Wadelington, or by phone, text 336-276-5966.
And I'm so sorry. I've been calling your last name Wadelington for as long as I know you. Why didn't you correct me?
So I had this teacher in the 5th grade. And she used to kick me out of class for trying to correct her. So when somebody say my name wrong, I just roll with it. And be like, all right,
Well, I apologize.
Oh, no, you
Wadelington, because I have actually some people who are really close friends to me, last name Wadelington, so I definitely want to get that name right. So thank you both for coming on my podcast today. You really dropped some gems today, as I knew that you would. I hope to have you for my season finale as a wrap up, and thank you so much. I wish you blessings. I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And like I said, thank you. Anybody going through cancer or anything, just let them know you can certainly beat this, and Neishastrong is on their side. So thank y'all. That's
Thank
what
you.
we'll do. So thank you so much for tuning in to You Can Certainly Beat This with Neishastrong. I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And remember, you can certainly beat this.